The South Carolina Military Museum, we have an exhibit on the airfields of South Carolina, so Skytrails, South Carolina Airfields then and now. And what we really wanted to explain was people that there's a long aviation history here in the state, going back to the early 1900s and some of the first municipal airports. And then in World War II, we had many air bases pop up, not only Army Air Corps, but also down in the Navy Yard with the Coast Guard, and Beaufort with the Marine Corps history. So, and those airfields are still alive and well today, and also working with commercial airlines, and also bringing in companies like Boeing and Lockheed. So there's a lot of aviation here in South Carolina. I've always been an aviation buff. That's what I like about history is airplanes, and I was doing some personal research and just found out how much the history goes back. It's not a recent history. It's all-encompassing, and it takes the place in Upstate, the Midlands, and the coast, and educating everyone about how much aviation really does impact the state and even our economy with those companies coming in, even like BMW. The whole reason they came here was because they had access to an airstrip.
There are many county airports now. I can name 24 county airports that started as military auxiliary fields. They were building cross runways of 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 feet long concrete runways, more than any commercial aircraft needed at that time. They were built to military standards. The war's finished, these become surplus, and half the counties in South Carolina, their county airport was a military field in the 1940s. It's been huge for the economy.
Right across from the museum is kind of where we wanted to start the story, because right across from the museum is Owens Field, Jim Hamilton L.B. Owens Airport. And it started, one of the first airports in 1927, and it's still going strong. And that was like our first municipal airport here in Columbia. And even today, they're still working on that B-25 Skunky out there, so they've still got that military connection. Even the other day, the Coast Guard landed there. So a lot of people don't know that, our citizens are really intertwined with our military.
Just like to congratulate Heather and all the work she's done, and Tag, I appreciate you coming, Major General McCarty. So Chief Hoover, if you will do the honors, we will get it open for everybody to see. All right. Everybody enjoy.
Today we just had a little ribbon cutting, or as I like to pull it, the chalk block pull. Those are the kind of rubber mats that keep planes from moving back and forth on the taxiway. So we pulled the chalk and opened the exhibit officially today.
I didn't know if you remember me, Bob Rickson.
There we go. Got it? Okay, thank you.
Check this out. Where's the board? Here, look, just read it.
The logbook behind me is a unique, one-of-a-kind piece. It is certainly a piece of history in writing. It was the logbook for Columbia Downtown Airport, which was generally how it was known in the 30s and the 40s. And this has a lot of wonderful signatures in it. A great many of them are military personnel that were passing through. They would stop to refuel or maybe grab a bite of lunch, or if they had a mechanical issue, that was a place to stop. But in 1931, Amelia Earhart landed in Columbia. She was on a nationwide tour, and her name is in the logbook on the page that's open. So it's a really neat piece of history. This is a great part of the collection here and part of the exhibit, and I'm proud to say I had a little bit to do with it being on exhibit. The WASP organization, Women Air Service Pilots, were one of many organizations that became open to women during World War II. They had to start from scratch and prove to Army male instructors that they could fly, even though they were all pilot rated. They did a wonderful job. They established themselves, and what their purpose was, they were not combat flying. They were flying every type of combat aircraft that the United States produced, and they were ferrying the aircraft from one base to another, from the factory to a base for acceptance, or from one base to another. They were all stateside U.S., and this program lasted for about 2 years during the war. And it was a tremendous help. It freed up male pilots that were shuffling these aircraft to go overseas, and that was the whole purpose. They were quite proud of this. There are very few of them. There's only a few left alive now, unfortunately, like all World War II vets. The exhibit features some wonderful photos that tie it to South Carolina. There were WASPs stationed at several bases, particularly Shaw Army Air Force Base at that time, now Shaw Air Force Base. But my favorite part is the uniform here. As a collector and historian, I'm aware of how rare certain things are, and this is an incredibly rare piece. That this is the dress uniform that was created about 1944 for the WASPs. Most of the WASPs never got this uniform. They had to pay for it themselves out of their own pocket. It was a dress uniform, although it was designed to be a flying uniform. You could fly in this, and you'll occasionally see photos of the women in that uniform. And I'm just so happy to have an incredibly rare piece to tell the story of the WASP. It's a wonderful story. It's an important story to tell. It is, since so much of South Carolina's aviation history is military history, then this exhibit does make lots of sense for the impact on military airports and how they have gone on in many cases to be very successful commercial airports or major bases that again keep both the economy strong and our military presence strong, and South Carolina is very proud of its military history, so it makes sense all the way around.